those who are trying to learn how to make websites, how to make cute, beautiful websites, simple websites, and you are struggling to make websites, and you are trying things but they are not working out, and you need a start, you want to give it a start, and you want to make some good websites so you can maybe make websites for yourself or for your clients and like that. So let me show you some work I did yesterday, and I also have uploaded that tutorial to the YouTube. So here is the thing that I did yesterday. It's a kind of simple website that anyone can do and get a boost in their confidence. So let me show you what I am going to do today. So here is a very simple website. It has a kind of logo, just a name, navigation bar. When I hover or I put my mouse over them to change the color, then I'm using this icon. This icon is not an image, it is coming from here, the font awesome. Okay, and also the font that I'm using inside this is from Google Fonts. If you are going to be like, if you are going to make websites, you will have to use these things: Google Fonts, font awesome, and you also know the GitHub, but that comes later on. You do not worry about this. So what does this website have? This has this section, then the header section, then this is kind of an introduction. There's a kind of button that you can click and maybe download, but it is not taking you anywhere. Then here are some animations. It could be some images also, but I made some animations, so it could be little fun. Okay, and they have a kind of button. I have not made it clickable because I'm not taking it anywhere right now. So here what I'm using is I am using Flexbox. So if you are trying to make a kind of portfolio website, you want to show your work, so this thing will really help you. And underneath this, here is a footer that is using icons. Again, I am using font awesome, that you will need to know. I will teach you that. Okay, let's start making it. And I already have done it. Instead of creating along and showing you what I'm going to do, but I am showing you what I am going to do. So here is the HTML file that I created. Here is the CSS file, but we are going to do this from scratch, from ground up. So what we have to do here on the desktop, I created a new folder, W4. And guys, to use Font Awesome, you will need to do one thing. When you go to Font Awesome, you download and extract the things from that folder. You will need to copy two things: CSS and web fonts. These two things, copy them and put into a folder, give it a name, whatever name. And now I am putting that folder inside a folder inside my website, that is CSS, and this folder will have my own CSS as well. And I am putting all my images and zips inside a folder called img, instead of putting all those things at one place. This is good for organization. I mean, you do it like this. Now inside this W4 folder, we need to create HTML and CSS files. How we do that? Press Command N or Control N, or go to File and then New File. I'm using VS Code Editor. This is the best editor, code editor. You have to use this. If you are using Sublime, okay, but I will suggest you to go for this because this is the standard. Now I created the like this blank page. Now we have to save it, and I will come inside on my desktop W4 folder that I have created, and index. I will not put this HTML file inside any folder. I will keep it out. Index html.html, that is the name I gave. You have to write .html exactly. And now we want to create one more file, command N or control N, and save this. Now we have to save this inside CSS folder and give it the name of style. You could write anything. Okay, style style.css. Again, save this. Now these files are saved. I have to create some bare bones or some boilerplates on this HTML file. Press shift 1 or shift exclamation mark and then press enter. You have to install this extensions emmet. Just write HTML over here and this will show you the things that you can install. It makes things very easy. Code completion and all those things happen. Now this is document title. That is, what does it mean? Here you are seeing title. If I change it to maybe anything, website, I will write website here, and also I will need to open the page that we are working on. So here it is. If I open this, and it will inside my default browser. So right now it has nothing, so we are going to give it some things to work on. And we also have to attach the CSS. So just write the link and this CSS. So where is our CSS file? It's inside a CSS folder. Write that, then forward slash, then style style.css, like this. Now that is attached. We also need to attach the font or something. So how and where is that? And come back to the folder. Inside CSS there is fonts, there is CSS, and then there is this file. You have to go like this. I will write it now. CSS, then what? Then was fonts, then there was another folder CSS, then all dot min dot css. This way we are using the font. Awesome. I think we are done. We will need to use Google font as well. So what font we are going to use? Let's use some kind of I mean friendly font. Let's use this ITIM. I mean you can use any font, but I will be using this. Okay, now when you click on this plus icon, what you have to do, you have to click on this and you have to paste this thing inside your HTML file, like this, underneath this, like just like the CSS link you attach. And inside your CSS, now you will need to write that font family, but let's do that later on. Let's come to the body section where all the magic happens. First of all, what we need a header. Header is a semantic element. I mean, it is given by the HTML itself, so we use it, and we are giving it a class name of header only. Okay, inside this what we need a logo. What is the logo? We are using an h1, then give hash means an id, and give it a id of logo, and call this maybe, what is the name of let's call this planner planner. That is done. Now underneath this we need navbar, so write this nav. I mean that means this is a navigation link. nav is given by the HTML itself. Now what we need to create some links. So a, and give them some class maybe, so call them nlinks, nlinks. Where we want to take this, href means where we are taking, like google.com, bing.com, facebook.com. We are not taking anywhere, so write this hash mark. And now we need to write maybe home. That's good. Now duplicate this by pressing shift alt or shift option and down arrow, and instead of home, what we need here, home, it will be about, and duplicate it one more time, service services, and maybe one more time, and we will call this contacts contacts. And along this one we need to create that user icon. You saw that over here. Now we will use this you can see this is coming up, but I have not styled it, so it will not look good. Now we will style that along later on. Okay, so what is the next thing? We have to use this. So let's create a p class and call this maybe user, and inside this create this I class. Okay, you are getting confused. I will just write I and inside I give it a class of far. That is just font awesome given. Far means font awesome regular, fab means font awesome branch, fas means font awesome simple. So for space for dash user. Now this will put a user icon over on the screen. Guys, if it is slow, I mean if I'm going slow, then you can speed up the video, but there is no fun in just completing the video. Try to understand the things. Do not memorize. Do not, I mean, just understand the things, and you will flow, like things will come easy to you. They will become easy for you. The header part is done. Now we have to create the main. Main is again given by the HTML. We do not have to worry about it, and we are giving it a class name of main. Inside this main, what we have, first we have a kind of box. Let's call that banner. And what we want, just banner is not enough. We have to either create a div or a section. We will create a section. Div, only use that when nothing is coming to your mind. I mean when things are not making sense, then use div. It is not suggested by the HTML itself to use div much. Okay, inside this what we have a kind of title, so we will give that an idea of title title. Welcome to our website. Let's give it a name and we can change it later on. And underneath this we need to put some text, so we will create a para and give it a class of txt text, and press enter, and it will write this. Inside this we need to write some dummy text. Either you copy from the web or you write lorem, and I will press maybe 200 and it will write it for me. I have installed those extensions in my code editor, so it's happening. I mean, you can do that too. This is no magic happening. So underneath this we need a button, button button, and we will give it a class of btn. That makes sense. And inside this we need to write maybe no more. That's very common thing and it doesn't make sense. I will write downl download app. That makes sense. Okay, this section is done. Underneath this we have that part where we are creating, so we will use div over here. So let's call that shop, and inside this we need some sections. We could use article here, but that doesn't make sense to a newcomer, so don't worry about that. Section, what is the first section, and give it a name of img1 image1, because we are using an image over here. And inside this we need an image because we have to use the zips. And where is the source? I created a folder for img images, and inside this let's access zips z, and there are like 6 zips, so it's like z1 z2, so like that dot zip. And always write this alt because this makes sense. And image, or you could write any descriptive name. And underneath this we need to put a button and give it a name of maybe click, click, click. Now what we should write here, click. Yeah, that makes some sense. Now what we need to do, we need to maybe duplicate this few more times. Let me show you what I have achieved up till this point, so things are not confusing for you. There is a lot of text, and here is an image, there's a button, and we will style this along, but first let's complete the things. So let's duplicate this 6 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now what we need to do, instead of just repeating one image, we will change the image names. No, here it will be 3, here it will be 4. Guys, try to understand what I'm doing. I'm using the things given by HTML. I'm not creating anything, I'm just using, and we can just come up with anything with this. Now things will look very ugly, they will like stacked on top of each other. Let's first style this thing. No. And underneath we will first make the whole website. Underneath the main, we are done with the website, we have to create the footer. Footer is given by HTML itself, so we do not have to worry about it. We are creating a footer and giving it a class of footer. And inside this we need to put those icons. Again we will use I, and just write this, it will complete. Now write this class. Now we need to write this fab font awesome brand for dash insta gram Instagram. Duplicate it 1 2 3, and here we will write twi Twitter, and here we will write github GitHub. That makes sense. Let's come down and see if that is happening. Guys, if you're a beginner, this achieving this using font awesome will be very difficult for you. It's complicated, so all you have to do, download that font from here and extract that, then just copy 2 folders, these 2 folders. I mean, just come here, CSS and web fonts, from there put it inside those 2 inside one folder, call that whatever, and I call that fonts, and now I am putting that inside a folder CSS. I could have just posted that fonts over here also instead of CSS, but for the organization I'm using that. That is making sense. I hope so. Now we have almost done this thing. The HTML is almost done. We have the footer, and okay, now let's style the website. First we need to go to the CSS. HTML is done, we have given some classes and IDs so we can use them inside CSS. Now first of all we have to write this star, then these, then we have to reset the browser default margin and paddings because browser gives them, so that makes things bit complicated for us. Because if I'm not okay, I will disable it for a while and I will show you what does it mean. Now body, we do not have to give it a class or anything to the body, it is by default understood. Inside the body we need to give it a width. I mean, we are working on something. First of all, we have to give it some width. Height, width, what should be it? It should be 100%. We could write 100% or 100. VW means view width. You have to use modern view elements. Height, it should be automatic. We do not want to limit it. And is it done? I think it is done. Now we will maybe give it some font family. I mean, to if we want to use common font in the website, then we will put that over here. So I'm going to do that. Inside Google Fonts, we copied this thing to the HTML. Now we will need to copy this thing. What is this? Am I using two fonts? I will remove one, and now I will come inside this CSS and I will give this a font family. Let's see if that makes things or not. Yes, the font is given. It's not looking very good, but we will make some sense out of it. Now what we have to do, we have to come inside the header. The first thing we created was header. Now inside header we have to give it a width. We do not want to make it 100% width, so we will make it 100%, no, 80% or 80 VW. That makes sense. And its height should be whatever you want. I will make it 90 pixels, and maybe get it some border at the bottom, and it should be around 1 pixel solid E. That makes sense. Okay, now and no, it is not. Okay, now we want to put it in the center. So how do we do that? Margin, we do like at top and bottom we do not want anything, but in the center we will use auto. This way it will, I mean, if we write this center, then this will be centered here. Okay, am I rushing? So put it this to make things display nicely. Display, then use flex. I mean, flex box is a new thing that you have to use, you have to get used to. Now things are not aligned properly, I will align them. So align items in the center. Now they will be like this, making sense. Now we want to give this uh, what is the name of this thing? This thing is nav links. Nav, okay, nav. Now come to this and maybe nav and put it margin left auto. This will put it to the edge of that side. Now we do not want it to like be tagged to that user icon, so we will give it margin on the other side, that is margin margin right, maybe 40 pixels. That will be very small. Now this will be distanced from itself. 40 pixels is very small, maybe make it 80 pixels. And now to these links, where are these? What are these? These are align and links, so we need to give them some padding so they are not uh, links stacked. I mean, they are not touching each other, so we will use padding. I think 20 pixels should work. uh, that didn't work. That didn't work. Why? Because I'm not giving it the class name. That I have to write the dot over here. Now that is okay. And we have to remove the text decoration which is underlined. Sometimes we need that, sometimes we do not need that, because it is given by default. Now making sense, blue color looking fine. Okay, and okay, I think it's header is bit done. Now we want to do the same thing with the main section. Come down main, and then same thing with how much we want to make it. 80% like the header, because we want to make things pretty. Height, it should be HEIG, height, it should be auto. That's okay. And what else? Margin, yes, we want to put things in the center, so at top maybe 2%, because we do not want it to touch the header. And then auto means this thing will be placed in the center. Happening now, you see that. And I think that text is too much. Maybe I will cut down some text. Where is this text? Welcome to our website. I will maybe, no, that's not happening. I think that is wasting my time. I mean, he, everyone is rushing, and if I come back and text is bit reduced, I will take care of it later on. Maybe I will just, it should be, oh, it is a lot of text. Let's see how long it goes. It's actually too much. I will just, I think it is making sense now. It's unending. What kind of text is this? Hell, man, this is too much. Okay, I think it is controlled now. It is good enough. So now what we have this title, and we want this to be spaced from the text underneath. This thing should have some space at the bottom, so we will just pick that thing. What is the name of that thing? That is it an id or a class? That is an id means hash mark title title, and it needs a margin at bottom. That's here. How much? Maybe 2%. That should work. Has it worked? Yes, that has worked. And now what else we need? We need to give this what is the name of this whole section? The name of this whole section is banner. We want to give it some background, but that background should be dynamic. I mean, like this, it should change on, I mean, like automatically. So how we will do that? Let's come to the this thing, banner, and we'll give it some width. How much? I guess just like that. Maybe we will make it a bit smaller, maybe 78 pw instead of making that whole width. And height maybe something like 200 pixels should make sense. And make some padding. We do not want things to be like attached to the edges. We want we want to have some breathing space inside that box, so maybe 1%. That makes sense. And what else? We do not want this to be a kind of sharp box. We want to give it some border. Your border radius, not the border but border radius, maybe 12 pixels should make sense. And now we have to create something here called keyframes, because we want to change the color automatically. So we have to give it some name, maybe change bg. I'm using like that because that is how things work in programming, because you use a capital letter in the scan, so things are make easy like this. You have to copy me what I'm doing. Okay, okay, now at 0% we want this to have a background color. I mean, this is easy. This is not some at 0% when it begins. What kind of color we want to have? The background color should be maybe yellow. I'll use very, oh, I hate this yellow. Oh, what kind of yellow is the YLL? Yellow. Now we do not want a very bright color. We want a very subtle color. Okay, I love subtle colors. You must use subtle light colors in your website. And now we want some kind of orange maybe here, very subtle orange. And here we may use a kind of teal color, a light teal color. Now these things will not happen automatically. At 0% this should be the color, at 50% this should be the color, at 100% time, I mean, it can be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 second, 1 hour, 2 hour. It doesn't mean anything right now. I mean, it is just, if it is a part of a minute, then at 0 and at 30 seconds, at 60 seconds, what should be the color of this thing? So it will not happen automatically. We have to call this inside whatever thing, whatever thing we want to work on. Right now we are working on the banner. We want to change its background color at the time, so we have to call it animation. Yes, what is the name of this animation? Change vg. We just created it. I'm not making it up, I just created it. So how long it should take to complete? 5 seconds, because we want it to be slower. After 5 seconds are done, then next time, how much time it should take to begin again? 1 second is okay. So what is the process? I mean, should it begin very fast, slow? We will use just write ease and it will give you options. Just write ease and out. Do not confuse yourself. Infinite means it will keep on repeating. Let's come over here and see if it happens or not. It has not happened. What is the problem? I might have done something wrong. Okay, what is the problem? Let's change bg, change bg. That is not the right name. I will change now and come over here. Now you see this is happening. The color is changing, but it is very bright color. It's okay for now. And now I think that its height is a bit small. Maybe make it to 60 pixels. That will be pretty large. Okay, and now we have to work on this button. Where is this button? This is the button, and the class of that button is btn. So come down here, dot btn, and give it some width. How much? Maybe 140 pixels. Height. Guys, try to understand what I'm doing. Okay, do not confuse yourself. Do not confuse. I mean, try to understand. I'm making a very simple website and I'm trying to make it cool. So you if you are working along with me, that's fine. If you are just saying that, that is also fine, but please do it later on. Okay, I mean, just after completing the video, please pause the video, start doing things, just to copy how I am doing the things. I will be putting all the code and all the files when I upload this video, so do not worry, you can just copy me, but try to understand, just don't try to complete the things. Now this button should have what it has, width, height. I do not want to give it any border, so I will just show you how it looks now. It will look a bit ugly, you saw that, and we want to make it pretty. How we do that? We will give it some background color. We do not want it to be grayish. We want to make it maybe a kind of pink, or we will give some salmon color, salmon, and that's pretty strange color. Anyway, no problem. I may use but it's still not looking good. It has a kind of ugly border. We will remove that border. How? By border none. We want to make it rounded. How we do that? Border radius, and we will maybe use 12 pixels. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that works. And now we do not want this to be stacked to the text above. We will use some margin at top. How much? Maybe 2%. That makes sense. 2% is okay, and maybe I think 12 is less, maybe 16. Let's try that if that work or not. Oh, that's too much. I think that's maybe 13, but I do not like odd numbers. We have to use even numbers always. Okay, now the font size is very small, and we want to increase that. We will font size maybe 0.9 ems. You could write pixels also, like 12 pixels, 14 pixels, and we want to change the color of that to white. Just write white or FFF. You can change the color anytime. That makes sense. Now I think this section is done. Now we have to work on this part. What we created, we gave the whole section where we are putting images shop. I mean, we created a div and we gave it a name of shop. So we will write that shop, and we will write display flex. Now you will see one thing happen. Now they are all stacked like this, and they are going like to the extreme. We do not want that. We want that to wrap. So what we will do, that flex this thing wrap, and we have to write wrap. Now this will put it underneath. That is making sense and looking beautiful. Okay, now, but we have to style that button also, and first of all we have to style the individual images. So let's do that. Maybe to the img one, I think all they have an img1 class. So we will come down here, img1. What we want something, maybe let's not give it anything. We want to align the things in the center. So we will do one thing, just use this thing, text align center. Let's see if that works. And also this thing has a button. All of them have a button that does have a class of click, click, click. Now let's give it some properties. So we already have created a button. Let's copy the properties of that button and paste over here. You have to use things, okay? You do not have to recreate everything every time. We can just change things when we want. Let's see if that's making some sense, but it's not getting centered. What we need to do now, where is that text line img1, why they are not aligned to each other? And also this is pushing them down very below. Let's solve that. Now what we need to do, img1 should have a width, maybe give it 300 pixels. Let's see that if that makes sense. Oh, that is, but we have to do one thing. Do the shop thing. We have to justify content to space between. Is it making sense? Yes, that is making sense. Now they are not like this is above, this is down. We do not want, we want all of them to have to be aligned at the bottom. How we will do that, we will come down here and align items, flex, and I think that is looking nice now. And much of the website is done. If you come back over here, it is a bit different, but it is making some sense. And what we else we need, I think these buttons are done. We need the footer now. How we will do create the footer? Just come out of the main section. We are done with the main. I think I have also created the footer already, so we will come to the css and use the footer class that we created. I mean, we created the footer and we gave it a class of footer. We want to give it a width of 100%. We do not want it to be like 80 VW, 100% or 100 VW. Height, I could write maybe 120 pixels. We want to give it a background of any subtle light color, blue, then not the dark blue. We will use a kind of now I'll use a kind of yellow, light yellow, and inside this we want all the text to have a color of black 000, or I could just write black and that is perfectly fine. The color of text is that. Now we want that text to be aligned in the center. How we will do that? Text align center. Now it will not be aligned here. We want to do that also. How we do that? We use line height. Okay, we have to put it down. We could do like this also, but that is not good. How much it is? Same as the height of this thing. Now this is centered. Now they need to have, they are like how they are looking, they are not looking good. We have to give them space. How we do that? These icons, if you come over here, have a class, common class, fab. So we will use that dot fab. I mean, here they have two classes. This is one class, this is one class. I could write another class also here also. It works like that. Okay, fab. Now what we want? Padding. How much? Maybe 20 pixels each, so they are not stacked. Now it's making sense, guys. Hope this is helpful. If you have questions, if you are still finding it difficult, do ask me questions. I'll be really happy to help you. Here what I taught you, I mean, how to use HTML and CSS to create some cool simple websites, how to use font awesome, that is very important, how to use Google fonts, and how to use Flexbox to create portfolio like things. I mean, these things will be really helpful for you along the way. And also you can just try many things. You can change the color, you can make them bigger and smaller, and you can put over things there, maybe your profile and all that. You could put the search icon here. And if you're liking this, do give me a like and subscribe maybe. Thank you. You have a great day.